Okay, can people see my screen? Hello. Hello. Hey guys,
Yeah, we
can
can.
somebody say something, please? Because I'm unable to hear you. Okay, I think my screen is stuck. Guys, can see me, hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, Kamal. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. Let's make it interactive because that makes it a little fun. Let me share my screen once more. Okay, wonderful. So the first thing is let's start with some sort of an introduction. You guys can scan this barcode or go to Slido and then you can interact. So maybe you can introduce yourselves here, and I'll take about 2 minutes to give you a brief introduction about myself also. So about myself, my name is Karthik, and I run August Academy. We are based out of Chennai, India, and we've been in business since 2013. Prior to that, I got degrees from IIT and Stanford. My PhD is from Stanford. I worked in the corporate sector for about 4 to 5 years. And then, I felt like I wanted to create a lot more impact. And my position in the corporate sector, it wasn't allowing me to create that impact. So that is when I took the GMAT, and I thought if I get into an MBA, I will get into a more decision-making kind of a role. So I got 770 on GMAT. I got into the executive MBA program at Stanford. They used to call it the Stone Fellows program at that point. I didn't take it up, but the same week in which I got the decision from them, that is when I started August Academy. So this was the first week of January 2013. I was looking at it as my first entrepreneurial stint. I was very excited. I see in the corporate sector, I didn't get to work with my candidates, right? So I didn't see what the end product was like. I didn't see who was getting benefited. But when I was at August Academy, I could actually talk to people. I could hear their stories. I could relate to them, and I was able to offer my views and suggestions as well. And they also benefited from it. And I felt fulfilled. I think that is one word. I was satisfied. I was fulfilled, and I also felt like I was creating some sort of an impact. So I was quite happy. And then towards the end of 2013, which was our first year, we had some good results as well. And then that good results built up into a better second year, and then an even better third year, and so on and so forth. And now we've been 10 years in business. We've helped probably around 250 candidates at least, somewhere between 250 and 300. A good number of them are placed in top 20 programs in the US, and a good number of them are placed in top 5 programs in Europe as well. That does not mean that we work only with the top tier candidates. We also work with people who are placed in schools that are ranked outside of this regime. We have an individual conversation with everybody who reaches out to us, and then we explain what may be possible, what may not be possible. And then if they also seem in sync with that idea, then we start working together, right? So that is how we operate. And yeah, I mean, we've had another great start to this year so far. We are working with a good number of candidates, and we are open to take a few more as well. So that's where we are. I see that Kamal has introduced himself. Kamal helps firms improve their cybersecurity and digital infrastructure. That seems quite wonderful, actually, Kamal. Can you speak a bit more about it?
Yeah, so actually, I've just graduated and will be joining PwC as a risk consultant. So,
Okay.
as the line of works as I've written, so it
Mm-hmm.
will be mostly related to cybersecurity. And yeah, so exactly, I haven't been handling any type of projects at the moment. But
Okay.
yeah, so they have provided me with enough material. So that
Okay.
all revolves around digital infrastructure and like how the infrastructure regarding the transfer of information within organizations can happen. So it will be mostly related to that.
Okay. Sounds good. Welcome to work life. So you're a June 2023 graduate, is it? Like last month you graduated?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Nice to talk to someone who's starting adult life, corporate life, everything. So definitely wish you all the best. Josh, Ashwin, do you want to intro yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Karthik. Am I
Hi,
audible?
Josh. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just giving a brief about myself. I graduated from BITS Pilani in 2021,
Okay.
March 2021, and I then joined Deutsche Bank full time in the investment banking sector. So
Okay.
there I'm working in the middle office, back office sort of role, where we continuously interact with the traders in the front office, and we keep an eye on the risk and P&L that is generated every day. So that is the main fulcrum of our job.
Okay.
Apart from that, there are a lot of tasks, but yeah, this is the main thing that we do right now.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on the nature of work?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what happens is traders in Europe and Germany, they are trading right now actually from in their trading timings. And we have lots of instruments actually in our portfolios like bonds, swaps, repos, futures, options, everything. So basically, it's actually divided by the sort of risk that is generated. So, for example, there is one portfolio which I'm doing currently. So for that portfolio, we have like sort of 5 to 6 instruments. Actually, the traders have a particular direction in mind. They have a particular goal that we are going to use these instruments in this way. So yeah, basically they trade, and then on the if they are trading right now, so tomorrow I'll just update them about what all risk parameters that are open right now, and what is the profit and loss that is generated from every instrument, every tenor. Like basically, there are lots of parameters that are work here.
So
yeah,
the nature of work is a lot of quantitative and mathematical modeling.
You can say that, but there are the softwares actually we're working with. They're already a lot of advanced. So we are
So
not
models are
very much
programmed
deep
into the
into that.
software.
Yeah, so we are not very much deep into that, but yeah, we have a general idea of what is going on.
Okay. All right. So we can have an in-depth conversation getting into the nitty-gritties of what you do at a later point. But for right now, I think this is a great first introduction. So thanks for that. And welcome to the call. Ashwin or Somnath, do you want to intro yourself? So Ashwin has issues with the microphone. Okay, no problem, Ashwin. Somnath, are you with us? Do you want to share something about yourself? Okay, that's fine. So cannot unmute. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So I'll just provide a couple more polls just to understand where we are. I mean, there's only like 4 or 5 people on our call, but this is an anonymous poll. So where are you? GMAT done targeting R1, GMAT not done, GMAT not done targeting R2, future year candidate. I mean, I'm assuming Ashwin is a future year candidate. Maybe you can just click on that if that's applicable to you. But just Somnath and Ashwin, sorry. Yeah, can you guys just fill up the poll?
Hello, Karthik. Sorry, I'm able to unmute now. I'm Somnath. So
hi, Somnath, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So I'll give you a brief background about myself. I work as a product manager for a US-based company called Passport Labs. And over the years, I've got around 7 years of experience, 7+ years of experience in total. And I am planning to write GRE for MBA. So over the years, I worked as a product owner, business analyst. Right now, I work as a senior product manager. And yes, so I'm targeting one of the top 10 schools. Just wanted to know the chances. And I've not written GRE.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Somnath. Welcome to our call.
Thanks.
Maybe I'll just have one more poll before we get in. People, I mean, of course, if you haven't taken your GRE or GMAT, that's fine. There's nothing you can write here. But if you have, you can fill it out.
Also wanted to know, is there a possibility to still get into next year's batch if you start preparing for it now, finish it in a couple of months?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can walk through timelines in our call now.
Sure.
Okay. I think people are being a little shy, so I'll move on to Q&A. Folks, please feel free to use Slido to add your questions. I think that would be very useful. The reason it will be useful is because the video, this is also coming up on YouTube video. We can look at the questions and then we can also discuss the answers to those questions. So do top MIM programs by INSEAD, HEC Paris, London Business School, etc., taken students with 2 years of work experience at the time of joining the program? So 1 year of work experience while applying. Yeah, I think by and large, that should be fine. So 0 to 2 years of work experience, that's usually what is recommended for MIM. And beyond 2 years, you become a viable candidate for a regular MBA. Having said that, my advice would be, see, the MIM is a very mezzanine kind of degree, right? It's neither ground floor nor first floor. It is in the middle floor, right? So why would you want to go for that unless you're very impatient, right? So have fun, work for about 3-4 years, get some good work experience, do some good extracurricular activities, get a good GMAT score, and get into a top tier MBA program. Of course, it is easier to get into an MIM program. The GMAT entry requirements are much smaller than it is for GMAT. So INSEAD, for example, you may need a 710 for the regular MBA, but 710 is not sufficient. Your work experience, you need some international work experience and all that. So these are things I'm omitting at this point, just for the sake of discussion. But for the MIM program, you may be okay with a 670 or a 680, right? Same thing goes for HEC. LBS, I'm not sure if it has MIM. It has other MSc degrees like an MSc in finance or something, which you can sign up for as a fresher. So that would be my answer to that particular question. I don't know if this is a question asked by somebody who's on the call.
Yeah. Actually, it was by me, Kamal this side.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the reason I've listed this question is because, like, as I mentioned before, I have 0 work experience at this moment. So first of all, like, the premise of that question was because I was told that MIM programs look down upon students who have like the 1 year experience at the time of applying, because they usually look for people just who have just graduated or like in their final year. So yeah, that was the
By and
premise of
large,
that
that is
question.
true. But I think 1 year of work experience, you should be fine. So don't worry too much about it.
Okay, yeah. So also, like, I missed
Now,
out
having
on
said
the
that, if
different
you're,
MBA program.
if you're finishing up your GMAT pretty soon, then you can reach out and then we can evaluate your candidature and see if it makes sense to apply this year as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, also the reason I'm looking at MI programs is because, like, I missed out on the deferred MBA programs. So wanted to know if if you, like you just mentioned, that MIM isn't on the first floor or the ground floor as well. So do you feel like it's a good stepping stone if I do take an MIM top MIM program, then like if I look forward to an MBA down the line? So is that something
It's
people
something
do,
that you
or
can
like
definitely do. You can definitely do. But why would you want to do that? That's the only question. But if you wanted to do it, you can definitely get an MBA after that. There are people who do MBAs in India and then go abroad for a second MBA as well. So this would be something similar. The idea being the first management degree that you do, if you are doing it as a fresher or someone with very little experience, you are not really learning at a high level to absorb the knowledge that is being taught based on filtering it through your experience. That's the understanding. And so foreign colleges are okay with candidates applying for a second MBA itself. So definitely after an MIM, they would be happy to look at your application. That should not be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So,
Karthik, just this side.
yes, Josh.
Is it fine if I ask a question right now?
Is it okay if I ask you to type it in, Josh? I mean, we'll have an extended discussion later, of course, but for right now, just because this is following a webinar kind of format, I want
Sure,
everybody
sure,
to
sure,
be able
sure.
to
No
see the
issues.
question as well. Yeah.
No issue. Sure.
Assuming it's a short question, we can always have follow-up on discussion. No issues. Just the initial short question, I think, to set the topic. So somebody had a question on specific things one can do in the field of impact consulting outside of work experience to improve the profile for such roles post MBA, some certifications or anything. I'm not aware of any certifications along those lines, but if you come across something, by all means, I think that would be useful. Again, it depends on what your current work experience is, right? If you're not already a finance professional, then breaking into impact consulting implies that you are breaking into finance first and then immediately making a switch to impact consulting. So that's like two pivots right there. Both of these pivots are going to be very difficult. But assuming you're already a finance professional, pivoting to impact consulting may not be that much of a difficulty, right? So that's the first clarification I would like to make here. Certifications, yeah, like I said, I'm not aware of anything, but if there are, then by all means, go for it. I think the best thing you can do is you can volunteer some time with an NGO or a social impact kind of organization, which is in a field related to impact consulting. Okay, so you don't have to take any money from them, but you can lend your expertise and you can also work on some of their live projects to figure out in a impact consulting sort of role, right? So that is the best thing you can do right now to improve your profile. Yeah. Is this a question by somebody who's on call now, or is this a question that somebody?
Yeah, it was from my side only. So
Okay.
so the reason impact consulting, that social impact consulting, what I meant there. So yeah, response was great, but the issue is that I wanted to apply for the top roles from the undergraduate itself, but I wasn't really selected for like the firms like Dalberg and Samagra. So those were the two roles I was dreaming of, and I chose the like second option of going towards risk consulting of like cybersecurity. I had done internships for that as well. But like my dream is of impact consulting, so that's why I wanted to look at MIM programs as well, or like an early MBA, but only ISBN option at this point of time, like other than the IIMs, obviously. But so anything I can do at this moment, because I have a different field of work to improve my profile for impact consulting if I like get to a top MBA program.
No, I mean, I think if you're not able to work in that area, then at least provide voluntary services to some organization within that area. I think that would be the best thing that you can do. Apart from that, I am unable to think of anything, Kamal.
Okay, thank you. No issues.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All the best. So Ashwin has a couple of questions. Being a regular IT engineer and not into many extracurricular activities, how can a profile be differentiated from the rest of the pool? Okay, wonderful. Yeah. In fact, I think I made a promise in my LinkedIn post today, and I sort of forgot about it. So if you guys are okay, I would like to tell a story right now. This was about a candidate that I worked with, right? And this candidate was a very regular IT engineer and practically no extracurriculars to write home about, right? He did have a very high GMAT score. I think his GMAT was 750 or 760, something in that neighborhood, right? So, it eventually got to a point where we had to write about his extracurricular activities for some essay question. And I was asking him, hey, Aditya, what kind of extracurricular activities do you have? And then he was telling me, I watch, I don't know, typically stuff that most of us do, right? I mean, what do I do on weekends? If you reverse the question and if you ask me the same question, I wouldn't be able to offer you much, right? So I'm not taking any moral high ground or anything. I watch Netflix, I mean, if there's nothing on Netflix, then I go to a movie theater or whatever it is, right? Spend time with family, and that itself takes a lot of my time, right? I mean, so what kind of, I don't volunteer. I mean, I would like to. I mean, I'm definitely respectful of the people who spend their time volunteering for honorable causes, but I don't do it myself, right? So, I mean, most people are like that. So after some conversation, I was like, okay, fine. I mean, the conversation wasn't going anywhere. So I asked him, okay, fine. What exactly do you do on weekends? I mean, you're a single guy and you have a lot of time, and it's not like you have to work on Saturday and Sunday. So what do you do? And this guy was a little embarrassed. And then he says, Karthik, you know what? I mean, I trust you, so I'll share this with you, but it's not something I think I can brag about. Like, no, don't worry about it. Let me decide. So what do you? And he says, I play Pokemon. Like, okay, fine. I mean, I've heard of Pokemon, but even I had to agree at first cut that didn't seem like something worth writing about. But anyway, I mean, I was curious. So I asked him more about what he does and why it is interesting and all those things. And we realized that there was a story around it. Okay, so this was somebody from Hyderabad and he had moved to Bangalore for his job. And he picked up Pokemon simply because it was something new. And then he became addicted to it because, it was a very addictive game. At least there was this fad about 3-4 years ago. And this was his way of actually exploring Bangalore, right? Because I don't know if you guys know how Pokemon works, but you're supposed to catch all these Pokemons and they appear in some places. And then there are raids and you go as a group and then you try to catch it and those kinds of things. So most of the friends that he made in this new city outside of the workplace were actually because he played Pokemon. Not just that, he actually met international people who were in Bangalore as expats as well, the same concept. And he became like the leader of a raid group. And, there was a lot of networking. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of exploring the local area. There was a lot of cultural exchange. So this was a story that anyone would have dismissed at first pass. And to be very honest, even it seemed like something I would have dismissed. But it's only because we had that extended conversation that we found that, okay, there is something fun here. There is something meaningful here. And there is something that is reflective of your personality as well, right? So I think that is the advice I would give you as well, Ashwin. So understand what your contributions are. I think that self-awareness is the most important thing. When I say what your contributions are, it's not just that, hey, you know what, I'm an IT engineer. I know how databases work. I can operate SQL queries and, whatever answers you want, I can give it to you in 5 seconds. That's fine. I mean, everybody understands that you're the IT expert, and don't be surprised if people ask you anything related to computers and assume that you'll know the answer, right? I mean, for somebody who is like a poet background, let's say a journalist or a writer or a sports person, anybody who's an IT engineer, they think they know everything about information technology, computers, and so on and so forth, right? Sometimes they don't even realize that there are subspecializations and all those things. So that part of your expertise is taken care of. But apart from that, what kind of a person are you? What are your personal strengths and values? And how do you mesh with the rest of the candidates? I think differentiation is, it's a word that we use a lot. But I think rather than worrying about differentiation, I think what you should worry about is how you can present your profile as accurately as possible with a lot of self-awareness. That is what schools will look for. I'm not saying this will get you into your target schools, but all I can say is the more self-aware, transparent, and vulnerable you are, the higher the chances that you will make it to your target school. And if you give them something that is cliched and something that you think that they want, you have to understand that if 10 people ask me the same question and I give them one answer and all 10 of them write the same thing, before I gave the answer to the first person, that was a way in which he could have differentiated himself from the rest of the 9 people, right? But after I give the answer to 10 people and then all 10 people repeat the same thing, just by the fact that I have been involved, everybody's giving the same answer, which means they're not different from each other anymore. So I think what I want you to understand is you're already different based on your unique combination of strengths, weaknesses, values. Values are very important. So the idea is the best service you can do yourself is try to dig deeper and present a true and accurate picture of how you can contribute. I think that would be the best thing. Did I answer your question, Ashwin? I mean, I know this seems very generic, but really, I mean, that is the most honest answer I can give you for this question. Do you have any follow-up on this? Okay, if you have any follow-up, you can ask. Yeah. Okay. Any success stories from regular IT pool who made it to top 10? Would like to know more about how the profile was handled. I just gave you the success story of someone who made it to a top 20. We've definitely had people get into top 10s with a regular IT, I mean, not a regular IT profile, with an IT background, yes, but they may have been consultants. They may have been on the business side of things. They may have been on the data analytics side of things. they may have been on this research side of things. So not your stereotypical software engineer from a services company, not your tester from a services company, but a PM from a products company, yes. A researcher from a software company, could be a Microsoft or a Google or something along those lines, yes. Someone who was in analytics at places like Nielsen, yes. So these kinds of people, yeah, definitely we've helped them crack the top 10, maybe even the top 7. Someone who's more from an IT services kind of background, typically they land in a top 20. There's another question. I aim to get into front-end investment banking or private equity type of roles. So just wanted to know your views on ISB, given it's just 11-month course. ISB is a great program, especially if you're looking at living in India, then definitely it is a great program. It is a lot more expensive than what it was a few years back, but I think it still has the cost advantage compared to going abroad and studying. So you can, get into neutral territory with regards to your cash flow at the earliest, and then you can start into positive cash flow territory very soon. So these are some of the advantages of ISB. They do have some placements in front-end investment banking and private equity. I'm not so sure, but front-end investment banking, definitely they do have some placements. But if you're looking at long-term branding and you are able to get into a pedigreed program in the US, that may actually also be good and sometimes maybe better. I think it all depends on your personal circumstances. I know that a lot of people pick up ISB simply because they want to be in India and they don't want to spend a lot. I mean, these are very valid concerns. So I'm not sure if these are concerns for you or not. So I can't give you a umbrella answer.
That is actually me.
Okay.
Josh.
Yeah. Yes, Josh, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just wondering about this because what happens is when I'm considering any course in US, maybe it's top 10, top 15, or top 20. When you consider the investment that you're making, I generally assume that you'll take 4 years to break even.
Where are we now? We are around 200K, right?
Yeah.
Living and tuition. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, just on the cash flow, I mean, I still don't want to make this a discussion about your personal situation, that we can have it in private. But in terms of cash flow, what will happen is most companies that hire you, especially the banks or even the technology firms nowadays, do give you a sizable sign-on bonus. And you can assume that about a third of your loan will be wiped out at that point. Okay. Somewhere between 25 to 33%. Okay.
Okay.
And again, I mean, it depends on whether you have families, dependents, and all those things. But most Indian folks who are single and don't have a very lavish lifestyle, okay, which is usually most Indian folks in India, okay. If you just transfer that and if you can live that lifestyle for a 2-year period, I think you can break even in about 2.5 years. Including the sign-on bonus, including your internship salaries, and including, having a very meager lifestyle for the first 2 years. Okay. Now, if any of these things are different, then of course you take longer. I mean, if you have dependents, you take longer because you will be spending more. If you have kids, definitely you'll be looking for schools and whatnot. So, you'll be spending even more. Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, why do we even care about meager lifestyles and all that, right? I mean, if you want to buy the BMW, I mean, do you want to really force yourself to buy a Toyota Camry or something? I don't know, right? I mean, these are all, there's nothing right or wrong. That's what I'm getting at. In India, we would probably buy an i10 as the first car, right? There you will have the money to buy a BMW 3 Series, right? When you have the money to buy a BMW 3 Series and you buy something less than that, I mean, some people may consider that to be smart. Some people may consider that to be dumb. So, but yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. But 2 to 4 years, that would be the payback period, depending on certain variables.
So that's why I was considering ISB actually. It was just an 11-month course. So basically, I'll assume that you'll just take 1 year to break even after the
something
course.
like that. Yeah, one. Yeah, a little more than a year, perhaps.
Yeah, a little more than a year. But yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I was considering that given just this small timeline, you can actually start working on the roles you want to earlier than what you'll get in US or maybe Europe or whatever.
No, that is true. But another thing that you need to keep in mind is, again, these are things that will change. Okay, like in the last 10 years, most of these top VC players in India were probably hiring people from good pedigreed US colleges, like with good salaries. ISB, they may not have hired at the same level. Okay, but in future that may change, because ISB is a relatively new program also, right? Now they have an established alumni base, they have an established and proven success record and track record. So going forward, the way in which ISB degrees looked upon will change. But I think we are somewhere in the transition period. So the brand value that you get from a Booth or a Stern or a Columbia or a Wharton is definitely solid for a private equity type place. Or like a typical JP Morgan, Goldman kind of thing, ISB should work just as fine.
Just a follow-up question, Karthik. How do you differentiate the UK business school as well as a school between a school in the UK as well as India, like ISB? And what is the scholarship situation there? Do we get a scholarship what are the chances of getting a scholarship? I know that it depends on profile, but on a very high level, if you can throw some light on that.
See, again, I'll just take your question in a minute. Josh, have we discussed it to a satisfactory extent, or is there any follow-up from you on this one?
Actually, I was going to follow up with the scholarship point.
Okay.
Mentioned.
All
so
right.
If you can just throw some light on ISB as well as some US schools.
Okay. All right.
Considering average profiles, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. See, the scholarship point of view, US schools are very generous with their scholarships when they offer you scholarships. Okay. Not that they offer scholarships 100% of the time, but if they decide to offer you a scholarship, they can go as high as 70, 80K. All right. Sometimes even like 100% scholarship is possible. European programs as a whole, not just British programs, but European programs as a whole are not that generous, but they don't charge that much also in the first place. So, the net cost out of pocket may not be very different, right? But European programs are also shorter. So that's another way to measure it. It's like you pay 60% for something that takes 50% of the time. You're like, okay, is that more expensive or less expensive? You decide, all right? So like I said, European programs don't offer great scholarships. They could offer some scholarships depending on how competitive your profile is, right? Now, the other part of Somnath's question was, how good are UK business schools? UK business schools are good. I wouldn't say they're better than ISB or worse than ISB. That also depends on your personal preferences. If you see yourself living in India, then, nothing like studying at ISB and just getting into the workforce as quickly as possible. But if you see yourself having a global career, at least for some part of your life, maybe for the next 5 years or something, then definitely getting it from a top tier British school or European school or a US school will help you achieve that objective seamlessly. Did that answer your question?
Yes, Karthik, you did. I was also curious to know about the return on investment on if at all we go to ISB versus going to the UK or to the US. How much, it depends on how much you are currently earning and what would be your earning potential. I'm not sure if this is the right forum, but I was just curious about it.
Yeah, you can just go by whatever average salaries they publish on their websites. ISB, I think currently they're going at around 30-35 lakhs on average, or at least a good number of people are able to get 30-35 lakh packages. Okay. And foreign programs, at least US programs, typically the numbers are around 150 to 200K, including all bonuses and whatnot. Yeah. I would believe that both of these are good salaries for their respective geographies. The numbers shouldn't be compared against each other.
Absolutely.
But in their respective geographies, they are about at the same percentile level, I think.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Is GMAT mandatory even for an executive MBA from top 20? See, for an executive MBA nowadays, they're offering an executive assessment as well. If the college openly says that they are offering a waiver, then that is something that you can consider. But if they are requiring a test, then yes, I think it all depends on the choice of shortlist. If you're planning to do something in an impact sector, will the US MBA be of much help considering high initial investment? See, getting into the impact sector is very difficult for the one reason that there aren't many positions in that sector right now. Okay, it is still a developing sector. So if investment banking, let's say they come to Wharton and hire like 50 people, impact sector, they don't have 50 jobs to offer. They will probably only have 3 jobs. Okay, so in a school like Wharton, which has 700, 800 candidates, they may still hire only about 5 to 10 people. Whereas the regular investment bankers, they may hire about 1/4 of the class, which is like 200 people. Okay, so simply because the numbers are different and smaller, breaking into that sector is going to be smaller. So it's a 2-part answer to your question. The US MBA will help, yes, but just because you have a US MBA doesn't mean you can break into that sector. You have to have the right fit. So if they're hiring 5 people from a class of 800, obviously, you can imagine that they would want to pick people who have the most relevant experience. So if your profile is one of those relevant profiles, then yes, it makes sense for you to apply and get in as well. But if you're not having a relevant profile, then you may not make it into that sector. That's my honest answer here. All right. Any other questions, guys? I think I answered this also as well. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question on the return on investment. What, as you have just spoken about the average salary published on business school website, what if someone's salary is already at that level? Then does it make sense to go pursue that program? Because at the end, we seek, all we want is to get a higher pay, right? Towards the end of the, so does it make sense?
So that depends on your objective, right?
Okay. Okay.
So if your objective is purely financial, then no, it doesn't make any sense. But if your objective is to switch to a different functional area of work, then it may make sense at certain times. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to give you an example, right? I mean, there was this, see, in India, we don't have that lifestyle, but in the US, we have people who are like 40 plus who suddenly decide to go back to school and then they say, hey, you know what? I want to become a writer, or I want to become a doctor or something.
Yes.
So let's say somebody who's 40 decides to go to medical school and then gets their degree at 45 or 46, okay, which is the age when, people are like 10 years away from retirement or whatever, right? Obviously, I mean, this 46-year-old is not the same as a 46-year-old surgeon, right? Because that person is golden. I mean, that person is like at the peak of his or her career, right? This person is the same as somebody who's like 30 years old and starting their career. So they can only demand that kind of a pay package from hospitals, right? And it may turn out that they may be working more hours and getting paid less than their previous job, where they may have been like an executive director or something. So they could have been an executive director in an IT firm, right? But what if switching from IT to medicine is helping them move closer towards their calling in life? Those are areas where you cannot put a financial number to it, right? So obviously, it's not even that their salaries are on par. They're taking a huge drop, but they're doing something that is closer to their heart. So, I mean, it's a very bizarre example. I'm not saying that there are hundreds of people who do this, but I'm just giving you this bizarre example to say that if at all there is something that is helping you move closer to happiness in your heart, and money is not the only measure of that, then you may consider doing it. But if you're already doing something you're happy with and you want to do something else that you want to be happy with, and then you're also looking at money as a second variable, then, just optimize properly.
Yes. And also about the designation, do you think that if someone is at 7+ years of experience in his career, getting an MBA degree, having a similar package, what the average package at ISB is, do you think it would help him climb up the ladder faster or at a decent position? I mean, which wouldn't be possible without an MBA?
If you're moving from a technical to a managerial path within your same company?
I would speak about myself like a senior product manager. I'm currently working as right now. How fast will a person like me be able to climb up the ladder?
Okay, it's a
Like
very
to director
hypothetical
level.
question. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
very hypothetical question. I wouldn't be able to answer this with a lot of data to back it up.
Yes.
But I feel like you will learn a lot of strategies. And if you're able to apply those strategies well, then you can move fast.
Move fast, obviously.
Yeah, but this is like me hoping versus you hoping. We are hoping for the best kind of thing.
Yes.
I think you can be
my
positive.
My question was actually a little different. I wanted to know, will years of experience have any bearing on the hierarchy?
No, you have to rephrase that question for me. What do you mean?
I mean, say like 7 years of experience, you do not get a director level or associate director level, right? I mean, will that degree help a candidate like me, boost the career and, get it on a faster track? I hope I've been able to rephrase myself.
Sort of, yes. No, like I said, Somnath, I mean, I don't have the data to back it up.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it should be able to, you should be able to accelerate your career, right? Because it is generally moving in the managerial cadre. That is the direction in which you're expecting to move. And this is a management degree. So it is supposed to provide an accelerant. So to help you move faster in that direction. It may not happen immediately after. I don't see a lot of directors with like 8 to 10 years of experience.
Yes, absolutely.
They have like 15 to 20 years. So instead of 20, you may be able to get into director level at 15, right? So that kind of acceleration may be possible, but not like an immediate step jump.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Yes.
We have another question. With 16 plus years of experience, will your experience be a negative factor for MBA application? I would definitely recommend that you look at executive program at that level instead of a regular MBA program. Very rarely, let's say you have a military career and you're coming out of military service. So typically people spend about 10 years with the armed forces in India. And then if you have like 6 years of experience, that could still be like 6 years of experience. So your total experience may be 16 years, but you'll have 6 years of like civilian experience. So that's a different way to measure it. But for most people who don't have such outlier kind of profiles, 16 years of experience would mean you've worked in a particular industry sector and you've grown to a certain level of seniority. So an executive MBA may be the better option. Right. Any other questions, folks? All right. I am assuming that I've answered everybody's questions. Always feel free to reach out to me, and then we can take up the conversations further. It would definitely be best to have your GMATs done before you reach out, because without the GMAT, I mean, all our conversations are going to be very hypothetical and may not be very productive as well. And like I said, I mean, we can still take in a few more candidates for R1. So definitely feel free to reach out to us. Finally, I mean, I have the small request that is, we are a small company and we are trying to expand our marketing reach. We don't like spend a lot on marketing or anything. So anyone who's watching this video on YouTube, if you can like or share or subscribe, I think that would signal to the YouTube algorithm that this video is valuable, and then it will help us expand our reach just that little bit. So definitely please like and share this video. At some point in the future,
would it be possible for you to just throw some light on your services and pricing factor actually?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. I'll be happy to do that. See, I mean, at this point, we have 3 broad packages, right? So we have something called an ultra package. And what the ultra package does is it does not limit the number of phone calls, but we have a soft limit, which is if you have a call today, then I need 7 days to schedule another call, right? Why? Because we have to do this for a few other people as well. And for that, we want to space it out. The way it works, you will start working with us, and The first step, I would collect some background information from you. So I would ask you some questions, and then I would ask for your written answers for that. Then we'll get together for a few strategy calls. We'll understand your background, and I'll make sure that I'm understanding this properly. And then we'll get into a shortlisting phase. You can provide your inputs about what you want, and I can provide you my inputs about what is possible and what is not possible. And then we can come to some mutual agreement on this. Then the next step is we move into the application phase. So we can help you with essays, letters of recommendation, and resume. Typically in a brainstorming call, I would ask you to come prepared with some homework, and then we'll have extensive discussions about, let's say, some of these essay questions and what kind of life stories you have to support. So for example, Yale had a question along the lines of what is the biggest commitment you've made in life, right? So, you come prepared with three stories. Let's say, okay, fine. The first commitment I made was to switch to finance. All right. The second commitment I made was to my fiance. Okay. The third commitment I made was to this old age home in my village. Okay. The fourth commitment I made was to improve my fitness. Okay, fine. So there are 4 commitments that you've made. All right. Now let's examine the first thing that people talk about is non-profit space. So, okay, just let's examine the third thing. This old age home in your native village. What have you done towards it? I contribute money like 20,000 rupees every year. Like, okay, what else do you do? No, that's all I do. Like, okay, fine. It's very noble that you're contributing money, and definitely 20K will help take care of one elderly couple for 1 month at least in terms of their food. Maybe not medicines, but at least in terms of their food. That's definitely something that is noble. I would encourage you to continue doing it, but maybe that's not that big of a commitment. So why don't we not write about this for the essay? Let's talk about the other 3 things. Okay. Then maybe, the second point was about committing to your fiance. Okay, fine. I mean, a lot of people do that, and you've also done it. Was there something that made your choice difficult? Like maybe, your family was against this, and then you had to convince them, no, it was like an arranged match, and family's happy, her family's happy, we are happy, and everybody's happy, and there was no difficulty at all. It's like, okay, fine. So enjoy your life, but again, maybe not an essay topic, right? So now we are left with the first one, which is switching from engineering to finance. And then we are left with the last one, which is, working on your fitness. Working on your fitness, I'm not sure about you, but at least let me talk about it from my perspective. That's a journey I've been walking for the last 1 year or so. I've lost a lot of weight in the last 1 year because I've worked towards it. I had to maintain a diet. I don't have pastries nowadays. And, I try to be more physically active than I used to last year and, all those years before. So for someone like me, it is a huge commitment. Why? Because I don't get the time for it. And every time I see pastry, I mean, I don't know, man, it's just so difficult. Like I want to have that chocolate cake or Black Forest cake. I want to have like extra servings of chocolate ice cream. I want to put chocolate sauce on top of it. I want to put sugar on top of it. And now you're telling me that if I eat all of that, it's going to be bad for health. Please don't eat it. Like looking at it, especially in a table where, there's like some 5 friends and then everybody's eating something very delicious and you cannot do that. It's really difficult. But then, unless you learn to say no, these things don't happen. That's one part of the story. I mean, running is another part of the story. It's a very boring exercise, first of all. I mean, some martial art and all may be fun to work with, but running is like so boring. It's so boring that you don't want to do it. So getting up early in the morning, going for it, doing it, gymming, same thing, right? So I think for me, this was a huge commitment because I didn't have the time for it, because none of the things that I was required to do were enjoyable, but I still had to do it because it was healthy. So I had to do something that I did not enjoy doing because the larger purpose in life was, much bigger. So this was my fitness story. If you told me that you had a fitness story like this, I would say, hey, you know what, let's write about it. Your engineering to finance story may also be something very similar. One thing I like to tell my candidates is very rarely our story is unique. All right. You guys have seen that trailer for the Will Smith movie, which was very popular in the Oscars last year. Will Smith acts as the father of Serena and Venus Williams. Does that strike a bell? Guys, are you on the call? Thumbs up, maybe?
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. So, what's the story there, right? I mean, there's a dad, there's two daughters. They're from poor neighborhood. They don't have money for hiring very high quality coaches. And then, somehow the dad trains them against all odds and then makes them world champions. Good. Do we know an Indian movie that has the same story, except the girls are not tennis players? Dangal has the same story, right? So I think in real life also people have the same story. The first story that I offered as a suggestion was switching from engineering to finance. I don't know if that's what you did, but assuming. That could be the same as switching from a low level of fitness to a high level of fitness, because the challenges faced and the obstacles overcome, they may be similar. I mean, the nature of them will be different, but the hard work that you have to do to cross the barriers would be the same. So either one of those stories could be good. One would be covered in your resume, the other would not be covered in your resume. That would be so. This is the kind of brainstorming discussions we would have. And then we would settle on a structure for your essay based on the most suitable life story. And then, you'll write about it, and then I will give you my comments on the essay, and then we'll iterate on it till we get it right. In terms of pricing, for the 3-school ultra package, we are charging 3 lakh plus GST. And for the 5-school ultra package, we are charging 3,75,000 plus GST. The third option is to engage with us on an hourly basis. We recommend that you sign up for a minimum of 10 hours. So there, our charges would be at the per hour rate of 17,500 plus GST per hour. So minimum of 10 hours, meaning 1,75,000 plus GST. Phone time is counted as phone time, and we have certain directions for how much time an essay edit would take or how much time a resume edit would take. I can share you those directions, and then we can take it forward from there. So this is an approximation of our charges at this point. Any further questions on this, Josh?
No, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Feel free to write to me, and then we can take the discussion forward there. All right, guys. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, I'm assuming that's a no. So very nice interacting with all of you people. So please keep in touch. Please join our WhatsApp group, engage with the community, and then I wish all of you all the very best this season. Take care. Bye.